Hello, this is Vampire, and in this video, basically, let's talk about machetes, specifically on the design of machete, okay? And first of all, for me, because I do the stick fighting stuff, the length is definitely going to be inspired by an Eskrima stick, okay? This is one that I made out of PVC, and this is about 2 feet in length. Compared to a normal Eskrima stick, 2 feet is a little bit shorter than what a standard Eskrima stick is. A standard Eskrima stick that I've experienced is usually 2 feet and about 2 or 3 inches more, okay? This one's 2 feet, and when I'm using it, you know, I still have the puño area sticking out, and it doesn't feel bad at all for me. Maybe it's because I'm a smaller guy, but it feels excellent to me. I actually like it, especially when I'm working out indoors and stuff. You know, it's kind of like the shorter the better, but if it gets too short, then it doesn't feel like an Eskrima stick at all. So 2 feet works very, very well for me. For the machete, you know, I want it to be something comparable, something similar. This is a piece of metal. I'd basically get something like this and just, you know, create the machete from this, okay? And this one is about 1 foot and about 8 inches. So this is actually shorter. Let me show you. I'm going to put the bottom together right here. And yeah, it's like that much shorter, okay? And feeling this, you know, putting this in my hand, this is not bad because, you know what? This is heavier than a Eskrima stick because it's metal. You know, you're definitely going to feel the weight. Yeah, it's definitely heavier. So because of that, to make it a little bit shorter, I have no problems with that. And also, let's talk about concealment. If this is going to be a machete for, like, you know, urban riot type situations, you know, SHTF, okay, that type of situation, right? And also, you know, if I have to go long distances traveling and carrying something like this, it's going to be heavy. So I want it convenient as possible. So, you know, the smaller size, I don't think is a bad thing. As far as now let's talk about the shape. The shape, you know, basically gonna create the blade edge right here, you know, so there's gonna be a point somewhere around there. If you look at the John Rambo movie, his was like a really big, almost in between a machete and a Bowie knife, right? I like that unique shape that it had. It was almost, it's not a square, you know, but it still had a point, but it was almost like a square type shape. And to have that kind of shape is very minimalistic work for me to do, and I do like that ruggedness. It's gonna have a strong tip, and it's gonna be real solid for heavy duty stuff. I do like that idea. Also, if you have seen in some of the Filipino martial arts blade weapons, they have some that are, it's kind of like, it's going to be like forked. So it has like almost like 2 points. Sometimes the secondary point is behind here, but you'll have the main point coming down like this, and then it'll have like a small point right there. What that does is, because it's a machete and you know this is mostly going to be for slicing and for minor chopping, that it's not really a stabber. It's not for penetrating stabs. So if it's a gun, you know, a penetrating stab is more like a sniper rifle, right, where you're aiming to go through. With that kind of design where it has like 2 tips, that's more like a shotgun design, where you're not necessarily trying to stick this through somebody, but you're trying to do as much damage as possible with the initial stab. So it doesn't have to go deep, but you're going to create a bigger wound that way. So I do like that shotgun style tactic for the design right there, and I believe it also gives you a stopping power, because basically, you know, compared to a knife that could go through a piece of steak, you know, you stab with a fork, now it's going to kind of like stop it, right? So that gives you some stopping power. So I do like that idea very much, but overall would like it pretty simple. You know, some machetes I've seen and some more the tactical designs, they have stuff on the spine of the blade. So here's the edge, and on the spine they got like sawbacks and stuff like that. I'd like to minimize that as much as possible, because remember, this comes from my stick fighting background with the Eskrima, Arnis, Kali, that type of stuff. when you're doing that, sometimes you know, you're going to bring it and rest it against your arm, or when you're doing stuff like this, okay, it's going to be, I'm going to be placing it against my body, all right? Not necessarily, I don't want to drag it or anything, but, you know, it might be placed there. I might fortify it like this. So for that reason, I would, if there is going to be, you know, some of that, you know, a little bit of saw or something like that, I want it limited to the top area as much as possible. So the rest, it doesn't get in the way for me, that I could utilize it however I want. So that's definitely one thing to think about. Now, if it did have a little bit of, you know, like a crenulations or you know, or even a semi blade right here, so it's actually a little bit of an edge right here, and then the main edge is over here, that's fine with me too. I do like the idea of being able to, you know, go backwards and do some damage. But this is a metal weapon, right? This is a machete, is a metal piece of metal, and hitting someone with that, I think it'll do damage anyway. So it's fine. It doesn't have to be like super sharp or anything like that, I feel, you know, as long as we got the edge on one side, the full edge. And okay, so let's move on to the full edge. For the full edge, let's say it's on this side over here. And I do want a little bit of a belly. Okay, so I do want a tip for sure, and I do want a belly. That belly area, I think I want that belly, but I also want a curve, almost like a Chris knife. Okay, almost not a Chris knife, Chris sword, and almost like a kukri, right, where it has a slight curving there, almost like a karambit, where it's a recurve there, and then now we have a belly sticking out a little bit. Why? Because first of all, I'm not going to be, this isn't really for cutting brush, okay? I want to be cutting limbs, right? This is for enemies. So when I'm doing that, how much of a curve do I want? Well, if I go like this on the neck, and I roughly get this, then I will probably want it slightly smaller, okay? So that around that kind of curvature would work very well to you know, to maximize the cutting surface, the cutting edge area. And then also on the belly, you know, if you stab through, that belly is the part that's going to be sinking in deeper, so that's going to allow for deeper cuts. So it's nice to have a belly, and also if you are chopping, you're going to want to hit with the belly area as much as you can. So, you know, the belly would come like around here, and then it would slightly come in, it would slightly curve down here, you know. So like if I am going to cut a limb, arm or something, you know, it'd probably be, it won't be right over here at the top. It's going to be closer to the middle, you know, going downwards a little bit more. So that's for the, you know, those kinds of curving cuts that I expect to do. So grabbing like this, definitely want full tanks. I want it to go all the way down, obviously. The back down here, I do want a striking area, all right, and a hooking area. That would be very, very nice. I want to make the design as simple as possible. It's nice to have a cross guard, but I don't want it to be complicated. And the cross guard itself, if it could be used for attacking, that would be great. So if I end up in a grappling type situation and they're trying not to let me attack with it, I could just brush the cross guard onto their skin here and can cause some damage. Would be great. And of course the handle, I'm not too crazy about the ones where, yeah, I have to put my fingers inside the handle, right? And it's going to lock my hand. I mean, with long-term use or just being outside and stuff, your hands, I think, can swell up, you know, and stuff. So I'd like a little bit of room. I like to be able to try, you know, a little bit of different types of grips. You know, I don't always want my fingers to be close together like that, okay? So I'm going to want to be able to have a little bit of play there, actually. And towards the end over here, it'd be nice to have something that can hook, you know, prevent my hand from just slipping off the handle. And also, when I'm going forward, it'd be nice to have something to, you know, prevent my hand from slipping forward onto the blade as well. So those are the main things that I'm thinking about.